Democrats won big on abortion rights Tuesday. Here's what the results say for the U.S. going into 2024 Washington. Democrats had plenty of good news to celebrate in Tuesday's off-year elections and more evidence that they can win races centered on the national debate over abortion. Time equals 400 Ms. Greater than abortion rights supporters won an Ohio ballot measure, and the Democratic governor of beet-red Kentucky held onto his office by campaigning on reproductive rights and painting his opponent as extremist. A Democrat won an open seat on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court after campaigning on his pledge to uphold abortion rights. Democrats took full control of the Virginia statehouse, blocking Republicans from being able to pass new abortion restrictions and delivering a defeat to Governor Youngkin that may douse any buzz about a late entry into the GOP presidential primary. The victories won't be enough to make Democrats feel secure heading into next year's presidential election. The off-year elections have major implications in all of those states and provide a snapshot of American politics heading into 2024. But two big names, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, weren't on the ballot this time. How Americans view them will be a huge factor in shaping next year's race. Time equals 400 Ms. Greater than people are also reading. Wisconsin men's basketball sharpshooter injured in season opener. Here's the latest. Steve Cahalan. New owners reopen Apothec Eatery with old favorites and new items. WIAA Division 5 football playoffs. Lacrosse Aquinas. Columbus meet in Battle of State Champions. Jennifer Schmitz. Public losing trust in lacrosse school. Administration. Our school district is shrinking. Committee recommends closing. Hint. Jen. Northwoods Elementaries in lacrosse. Woman says UW doctors performed gender-altering surgeries without proper consent. UW lacrosse football. Eagles survive UW River Falls comeback. Win WIAC on blocked field goal. WIAA Division 7 football. Blocked punt propels Bangor to win over undefeated Cashton. Steve Cahalan. Brambleberry Winery moves former Shopko to become pickleball courts. WIAA football commentary. Blue Golds rose to challenge in battle of heavyweights. Stoddard woman faces OWI injury charges after parking lot crash in lacrosse high school football. Injured Bangor star pushing teammates on in WIAA Division 7 playoff run. Ex-Toma teacher gets 10 years in prison for sexual assaults of teen student. Authorities say WIAA Division 3 football. Onalaska falls to Rice Lake in Division 3 quarterfinal. Brewers winningest manager Craig Counsell leaves for divisional rival. Here are some key results from Tuesday's voting. Abortion remains potent issue. Time equals 400 Ms. Greater than Democrats notched two early wins Tuesday night in Kentucky and Ohio, states that voted for Trump in 2020. In both states, abortion was the main campaign issue. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear was re-elected in a state that Trump won by 26 percentage points. Beshear criticized the abortion views of his Republican challenger, Attorney General Daniel Cameron, in debates and television ads. One Beshear ad featured a woman who miscarried after being raped by her stepfather at age 12, expressing disbelief at Cameron's opposition to abortion in cases of rape and incest. In Ohio, a ballot measure preserving abortion rights passed in a state that Trump won by 8 percentage points in 2020. Republicans already tried to derail the measure by calling an unusual August referendum to make it harder to pass ballot measures, an initiative that Ohio voters roundly rejected. Later Tuesday, Dan McCaffrey won an open seat on Pennsylvania's Supreme Court after positioning himself as a defender of abortion rights. In Virginia, Democrats held the state Senate and flipped control of the Virginia House of Delegates from the GOP. The outcomes suggest a transformed political landscape since a conservative majority of the U.S. Supreme Court overturned a federal right to an abortion last year. Abortion rights measures passed in a plethora of states as some other Republican-run states instituted new bans on the procedure. Abortion rights may not be a potent enough issue to swing an election on its own. Several GOP governors who supported new bans cruised to re-election last year, including Ohio's Mike DeWine, Florida's Ron DeSantis, and Texas's Greg Abbott. Time equals 400 Ms. Greater than, but abortion was the key issue across the country on Tuesday. And that should worry Republicans in competitive races next year. Listen now and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, RSS feed, Omni Studio. Implications for 2024. It was a good night for Democrats following a series of wins in special elections and comes after a stronger performance in last year's midterms, which are usually crushing for the party in power in Washington. But none of the races were an up or down decision on the incumbent. President Biden. None featured Trump on the ballot or his ability to turbocharge turnout of infrequent voters. Democrats have performed well in recent special elections and did better than expected in 2022. It increasingly seems like the party starts from a position of strength. But it's not clear that translates to its 80-year-old president, who faces widespread skepticism about his job performance and whether he is too old to serve a second term. We'll have to wait until 2024 to see how Biden fares. Youngkin falls short. Glenn Youngkin burst on the political scene in 2021, winning an upset victory to become the Republican governor of Virginia, a state Biden won handily the previous year. Youngkin generated buzz that he could even make a late, surprise entry into the GOP presidential primary after this month's elections. Instead, Youngkin said he would focus on the 2023 legislative elections and winning full Republican control over Virginia government. Things did not go the way he hoped. Youngkin raised tens of millions of dollars for Republicans to defend their majority in Virginia's House of Delegates and win control of the Senate, which Democrats narrowly held in 2021. Among the things the legislature could do with that majority, he said, was pass a 15-week abortion ban he favored. Youngkin didn't really have a path forward in the presidential primary. His window to get on the ballot has already closed in some states. Virginia has an unusual single-term limit for governors, making Youngkin's political future even more of a question. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Democrats' heartbreak hotel. It was a good night for Democrats, but it could only go so far. The party invested heavily in an unlikely place, Mississippi, where Brandon Presley, best known as Elvis Presley's second cousin, challenged Republican Governor Tate Reeves. The party hoped that Presley's celebrity and political skills, coupled with the change in a centuries-old provision originally designed to keep black candidates from winning statewide races, could spell an unlikely victory. But it was not to be. Reeves won the race. There are limited lessons to draw from a party falling short in a state its 2020 presidential candidate lost by 17 points, except one of the oldest. You can't win them all. This morning's headlines. Election results. Ivanka Trump to testify. GOP debate. National AP Democrats won big on abortion rights Tuesday. Here's what the results say for the U.S. going into 2024 by Nicholas Riccardi. Associated Press updated 3 hours ago. Democrats have plenty of good news to celebrate from Tuesday's elections, and there's more evidence they can win races centered on the national debate over abortion. Abortion rights supporters won big in an Ohio ballot measure. Democratic Governor Andy Beshear was re-elected in Kentucky after running television ads painting his challenger as extremist on abortion. And Virginia's statehouse will be fully in Democratic control, preventing Republicans from pursuing new abortion restrictions and delivering a big loss to Governor Glenn Youngkin. The elections provide a snapshot of American politics heading into 2024. But two big names, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, weren't on the ballot this time. National AP. The third GOP debate will focus on Israel and foreign policy, but also on who could beat Donald Trump by Michelle L. Price and Jill Colvin. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago. The third Republican debate will prominently feature foreign policy and Israel's offensive in response to Hamas attack. But the 5 candidates on stage are also hoping to distinguish themselves as the top rival to former President Donald Trump. They'll try to do so without Trump being there. While the debate is going on Wednesday night in Miami, Trump will be holding a rally in a nearby suburb. Many of the candidates have gone after each other hoping to break out as a viable alternative to Trump. They emphasize their differences on foreign policy but also rip Trump for criticizing Israel's prime minister and suggesting the militant group Hezbollah was very smart. Business AP. Ivanka Trump testifies she wasn't involved in documents central to her father's civil fraud trial by Jennifer Peltz and Michael R. Sisak. Associated Press updated 1 minute ago. Ivanka Trump is testifying that she had no role in her father's personal financial statements, the documents central to the civil fraud trial that could reshape former President Donald Trump's family business. Trump's elder daughter took the witness stand Wednesday at the New York trial. Her father and her brothers Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump testified earlier. Ivanka Trump has been in her father's inner circle in both business and politics. But unlike him and her brothers, she was dismissed as a defendant in the New York Attorney General's lawsuit. It alleges that Donald Trump's asset values were fraudulently pumped up for years on financial statements that helped him get loans and insurance. He and other defendants deny wrongdoing. National AP highlights of Donald Trump's hours on the witness stand at his New York civil fraud trial by Michael R. Sisak and Jennifer Peltz. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago. Donald Trump went off again and again, making the witness stand at his New York civil trial his podium on Monday. The former president laid into the fraud case against him. He assailed the judge who'll decide the lawsuit and the state attorney general who brought it. Amid the broadsides, Trump spoke at length defending his real estate empire and his billionaire reputation against Attorney General Letitia James's allegations that he and his company exaggerated his wealth on financial statements. Trump testified for 3.5 hours. National AP Israel pressured by allies over plight of civilians in Gaza as thousands flee enclaves north by WAFA. Jack Jeffrey and Lee Keith. Associated Press updated 2 hours ago. Israel faces pressure from some of its closest allies over the plight of civilians in Gaza, as thousands of Palestinians stream out of the enclaves north on foot because of dwindling food and water and increased fighting in urban areas. The Group of 7 wealthy nations announced a unified stance on the Israel-Hamas war after intensive meetings in Tokyo, condemning Hamas and supporting Israel's right to self-defense. But the group also called Wednesday for the unimpeded delivery of food, water, medicine and fuel, and for humanitarian pauses in the fighting. National AP Red Hot October almost guarantees 2023 will be the hottest year on record by Melina Walling. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than October was the 5th straight month that Earth set a record for the hottest month in recorded history. And it did so by a big margin compared to the Octobers of pre-industrial times, 1.7 degrees Celsius. The Copernicus Climate Change Service also said Wednesday that 2023 is now virtually certain to be the hottest year on record. Samantha Burgess, deputy director for the European Agency, said the amount by which Earth is smashing temperature records is shocking. Extreme hot weather caused by human-caused climate change and coupled with a powerful El Niño this year has been shattering records around the world. Nation and World G7 nations announce a unified stance on Israel-Hamas war after intensive meetings in Tokyo by Matthew Lee, Foster Klug and Mari Yamaguchi. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago. Top diplomats from the Group of 7 leading industrial democracies have announced a unified stance on the Israel-Hamas war after intensive meetings in Tokyo, condemning Hamas, supporting Israel's right to self-defense and calling for humanitarian pauses to get aid to desperate civilians in Gaza. In a statement, the nations sought to balance condemnation of Hamas attacks against Israel and a push for urgent action to help civilians in Gaza left without food, water, medical care and shelter. The ministers emphasized that they support humanitarian pauses to facilitate urgently needed assistance, civilian movement and release of hostages. National AP Biden administration warns of major disruption at border if judges halt asylum rule by Eliot Spagat and Rebecca Santana. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago. The Biden administration is urging an appeals court to allow sweeping new restrictions on asylum to stay in place, warning that halting them would be highly disruptive at the border. The government on Tuesday asked a panel of judges in Pasadena, California, 2 appointed by President Bill Clinton and 1 by President Donald Trump, to keep in place a new rule that makes it more difficult to qualify for asylum if someone doesn't first apply online or doesn't first seek protection in a country they're traveling through before getting to the U.S. Immigrant advocate groups say the law allows people to apply for asylum wherever they enter the country. The restrictions remain in place while under appeal. Government politics special counsel in the Hunter Biden case insists he was the decision-maker, in rare testimony by Farnoush Amiri and Lindsay Whitehurst. Associated Press updated 1 hour ago. The prosecutor overseeing the Hunter Biden investigation has testified for nearly 7 hours before congressional investigators, saying he had ultimate authority over the years-long case. The closed-door interview on Tuesday marks the first time a special counsel is appearing before Congress in the middle of a probe. It comes as House Republicans are aiming to ramp up their impeachment inquiry into the president and his family after weeks of stalemate. Members of the House Judiciary Committee questioned David Weiss on allegations that was not the decision-maker in the case into the president's son and that the probe was influenced by political pressure. A spokesperson for Weiss calls his testimony unprecedented. Love 0 funny 0 wow 0 sad 0 angry 0 tags wire DCC Lee National be the first to know get local news delivered to your inbox. Sign up. *I. Understand and agree that registration on or use of this site constitutes agreement to its user agreement and privacy policy.